Hello, welcome to Driven It Drive Time. I'm out in a Citroen Berlingo M49. It's an old one, it's mine, and I'm going to tell you why a Citroen Berlingo is all the car you will ever need. After this. Indulge me, if you don't mind, while I just talk to you about the concept car that became multi-space. We're talking Grand Large. You see, for model year 1997, Citroen had three concepts based on Berlingo van. They had the Bully, I think is how you pronounced it, which was a little hatchback car which became the C3, but not with these underpinnings. It came with a much smaller concept car underpinnings. And then you had the Coupe de Plage, and we all went, ooh, that's rather nice. Although some people probably went, ooh, that's very nice, because the man with just the skimpy little pants on, you go, Citroen are being saucy. But yeah, quite a nice concept, didn't happen. But Grand Large. Now, Grand Large was pretty much what Citroen gave us in multispace. And I'm just going to read to you their concept words, because some of this you do go, what? But then some of it you just go, actually, it's quite true. The Grand Large is a concept car par excellence, a new approach to interior design and an innovation to travel with friends to faraway places. The large high-roofed interior is luxurious and comfortable, with the feeling of space further enhanced by the large sunroof and light two-tone fabrics. The fully opening tailgate makes for effortless loading too, and total flexibility of function. But here again, concept also takes into account sparkling yet economic performance and the highest levels of safety. That was Citroen's concept, and now I'm going to rip that apart. Serious now. See, some of this you do read and you go, what? But we have to remember this was almost 30 years ago, so when they start talking about luxury, you sort of go, are they? But you see, when these came on the market with the 1.8 petrol engine, that was the first one, no diesels offered immediately to start off with. These were priced at a pound under £12,000, which, do you know what, makes them incredibly bloody cheap. So luxury for the price, absolutely. But when you look at it in today's market, you go, well, it's not really luxury. It's a van, there's lots of body-coloured panels everywhere, which I quite like. Later on, they covered those up, you see. But yeah, and you sort of go, it's got some plastic bits here and a bit of fabric under the seat for your elbow. Yeah, there is that. And this thing here, the sparkling yet economic performance. Now, when you look at the performance figures of the 1.8 petrol, 23 to the gallon urban cycle, yeah, not very good, you see. And now, I think they said the extra urban was about 31 or 34, but, you know, not very good. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about engines a bit later, but there is that. So that there was Citroen's concept car for 1997, and because it became so popular at the motor show where Citroen showed off and said, look what we can do with our Berlingo, lots of people went, can you put that in production? And Citroen, believe it or not, well, I'm not sure. Now, as concepts go, let's just go slightly off topic. This isn't a new concept, you see. A lot of manufacturers were taking vans and putting windows and seats in the back. Vauxhall did it in the UK, and Hillman also did it. But the French have been very, very good at this, been very, very good at taking a utilitarian box, a small utilitarian box, not a big box, small one, and basically filling it with people. Because the Citroen C15, that was also available only in France and continental Europe with windows and seats, which is why you see when you look at the C15 there was this hole here pressed into the steel, because you could get it with a window, and you could get all sorts of things with the C15. Anyway, I've got slightly off topic. So as a concept go, it wasn't new. However, Grand Large, it certainly was inside. Citroen were not lying when they called the concept for the Berlingo the Grand Large, because everything in here is vast. You see, you've got this overhead shelf here, which is vast, and you've got this glove box here, which is vast. I mean, my phone mount for the windscreen, I can fit in there. You've also got this handy lift up carry hole here. Now, some models you could get a radio here, so they gave you another slot here. So yeah, but slots pre-mobile phone slots, I might just add. And then you've got a reasonably sized good ashtray, which for me is just full of paracetamol. And then you've got door bins. We see, again, door bins big enough for a whole bottle. So everything in the Berlingo was grand large. They didn't call it grand large. Why? Probably because it sounded a bit wanky. So we called it multi-spas. The other thing that was a carryover from the grand large concept was the absolutely massive sunroof. And very, very nice it is to have this, because it does make driving this little van quite enjoyable. And you can see where people start getting the connection between 2CV and this. Soft and bouncy suspension, big, massive opening sunroof. Electric as well, right? I know, that's really posh. So, you know, talking about grand large and they start talking about the luxury, it has an electric sunroof. The other luxury item this thing has, remote central locking. Now, you sort of go, that's a van. It's got remote central locking. Yes, so there's some of the things. And all of this for just under £12,000. So, you know, absolute bloody bargain. They are practical vehicles. The one thing where the Berlingo absolutely excels over literally everything in its class, or bigger classes, smaller classes, or whatever, even the SUVs could not match this. Even MPVs struggled for this. And this was what's behind this big tailgate. Now, this big tailgate does come with a slight problem. Now, it's quite handy because when it's pissing down with rain and you're loading up your shopping, you are sheltered. However, this comes out quite a long way. So it's an absolute pain in the arse when you go to a supermarket because you have to drive in forward, because you always guarantee that the car that's parked literally a foot away, you'll never get this thing open. However, when you have got this open, the van's origins come in to its own, because here we have, with the seats up, 664 litres of space up to the parcel shelf. So, you know, there's more. And then fold down the rear seats and you have 2,800 litres of space. That is a huge amount. Now, Citroen sold these things as lifestyle-y vehicles for the young and trendy. You can take 5 up. A lot of their sales brochures always carried 5 young, hip and trendy, happy, smiley people. Often or not, I think it was more 2 boys, 3 girls, right? Saucy, saucy. Sometimes 3 boys and 2 girls, and you're like, oh. Anyway, so there's room for your friends, but fold down the seats, room for your bikes. My local dump doesn't like vans. If you go in with a van, they go, excuse me, sir, stop right there. We're not letting you through. You've got a van. See, I've had the Seat Terra, and my Seat Terra was a van. I couldn't go into a dump with it, even if it had 1 bin bag. No, it's a van. Load this thing up to the absolute roof, and they go, yes, come in, sir, because it's a passenger car. So you know what? If you are sort of thinking of getting into the gardening industry or something where you need a van, but you need to go to the dump and you don't want them to stop you, here is your get out of jail free card. Berlingo Multispas. You heard it here first. Where the Berlingo absolutely excels is ride and comfort. See, handling, it's not a great handler. It will understeer quite easily, despite it having Citroen ZX and Peugeot 306 underpinnings at the back. The rear subframe is solidly mounted. We don't have any of that lovely passive rear steer, which helped the 306 and the ZX with its cornering. But what we have on this is we have ride comfort, and that is beautiful. See, you have got a load of space around here, so you never feel claustrophobic, even 5 up. So that really does help. The other thing is the ride. I judge a lot of cars through road noise, not necessarily handling to the Berlingo, but the road noise, because despite the fact I've got the sunroof open, because I always have the sunroof open, rear road noise in this is exemplary, and many, many new cars, even today, almost 30 years later, cannot match this for the quietness. And because new cars are getting quieter and quieter, it really is becoming more and more obvious. However, it's the ride. The ride is very much reminiscent of a 2CV, and it's very, very French. It doesn't have hydraulics, unfortunately, like the LGS, but there we go. But it is very, very comfortable. And here I am driving around a very, very bouncy country road, and I tell you now, there isn't one jar that comes into the cabin, that comes into your spine. It just bounces around like an old 2C. Now these have been said by people in motoring world that, you know, they are sort of Citroen's replacement for the 2CV. And to be honest with you, bike with a big massive sunroof, yeah, they were very similar to the 2CV, and also they were cheap. But we'll come back to the cheapness a bit later. But yeah, the ride comfort, exemplary. The seats, very, very nice as well. And it's very, very open. The only thing I had a problem when I bought my own Berlingo was my right wrist. The steering wheel is set just a little bit to the left. And when you're driving, it does sort of put your wrist at a slightly awkward angle. So you have to sort of adapt to your driving position. I have, and I can now get over that, because there was no way was I going to give up on the Berlingo, having got one and just gone, oh my God, this thing is amazing. So yeah, you want a comfortable car that will just bounce around and go anywhere. You want a Citroen Berlingo. Anyway, problems. I'm not going to talk about the engine problems because there's vast amounts of number of engines on these, and you know, there's just too many little things. But the commonality between the M49 and 59, they're pretty much the same. Front springs. I've never known vehicles go through springs. These go through springs. Now, I bought this because it had a broken spring, and the chap I bought it from, bless them, lovely couple, he got told steering rack, needed a new steering rack. They quoted him up lots of money, so they sold it. And I didn't pay a lot of money for this. I paid less than 300 quid. Honestly, this is the best bargain I've ever bought. Bless them. But yeah, I just sort of say, it's not that. Anyway, springs, brake. There was a recall that Citroen did. This has got the recall. There's little spring cups. So when the spring does go snap, it doesn't go through your tyre like it does on a Renault Laguna. It catches on the cup. So you can still drive around without much of a problem. Anti-roll bar link arms. God, they are notoriously bad on these. And I keep them in stock because usually I can guarantee that when it comes for an MOT after a couple of years, I'm going to have to replace one or both of them. Thankfully, as anti-roll bar link arms go, it is pretty much a 15-minute job. It's literally up it goes, take off the wheel, 2 bolts off, whack the new one on, job done. So that's pretty much the problems at the front mechanically, because I'm going to talk about something else a bit later. Front doors. I only know this because I've done it several times. If you've got the window down, do not slam the door. The little plastic clips that hold in your glass will snap. Thankfully, eBay, you can buy the clips. So it's fantastic. So it only costs you a couple of pounds. You don't have to replace the whole window regulator. But yeah, so be careful when you slam your door when you've got the window down. Rear trailing arm bearings. If you see a Berlingo doing a lowered Volkswagen Beetle with a splayed look, yeah, they're on the way. The reason why they fail is because people put lots of weight in the back and they're driving like this and then it just wears them out. So that is the main mechanical problems throughout them. Structurally, these aren't too bad for a French car. And basically, think about it, a van, which is what they are, and vans were never, you sort of think, a van was never built the same way as a car. These have got a pretty good rust record. Places they go, the rear wheel arches can get a little bit scabby. This had gone a bit scabby and a little bit of treatment, but hadn't rotted through. Single skin, absolutely fantastic. Front inner wings are the death spot for these. Now, this one's a little bit difficult because I've got ABS and aircon, optional extras. It does mean cleaning that bit of metal up is a pain in the arse because I've got to take so much off. So wax oil is your friend. That is pretty much the worst areas. They do go on the seals occasionally. Usually they've been jacked up slightly wrong or they've not been looked after and people have been keeping an eye on it. But that is pretty much the worst of it. And the only other place I would say just keep an eye on is the seams. The seams do go a little bit, but nothing too drastic. So yeah, as a French car goes, these are pretty good. And I would just say, when I have, because I've had to strip the door down several times because of the bloody window regulators, there is no wax in these doors at all. I should put some wax in them really, but there is no wax in these doors. No rust in these doors either. So Citroen really got rust proofing down to an art. So that's the Citroen Berlingo Multispace. Do I recommend them? Yes, of course I do. Of course I'm going to recommend them. That's my own vehicle. That's one I've owned for 7 years. And it has been immensely practical. And everything I've spoken about during this review is true. Because it's true, I'm telling you. No, they are immensely practical vehicles and they are fun. Yes, admittedly, when you go to buy one, people will go, why the hell do you want one of those? They're owned by old people. Yeah, see, that was a slight problem that Citroen got because they, in their press publications, they're like, look, young, trendy people living a lifestyle, bikes and 5 up and having fun. 2 boys, 3 girls. What? Yeah, but it was old people that bought them. Why? Because they're very, very easy to get into. I'm an old person now. It's very easy to get into and very, very comfortable. So yeah, that's why I like it. But no, it is, being serious now, it is very practical. This is an early model that we've got here. So it's only a 3-door. See, the later ones came with 5 doors. So the back window there, it's a sliding door. Very, very practical to get in and out of. Super duper in a car park. But yeah, I can highly recommend a Berlingo as an everyday car and also a future classic. You see, follow James Walsh on all the social media platforms because he is a bit of a Berlingo daddy because he absolutely loves them. He has got loads and he's done all sorts of repairs and just keeps flying the flag. See, I fly the flag for just one. He flies the flag for many. Anyway, I hope you are now going to go off and buy a Citroen Berlingo because you will thoroughly enjoy it and you will then come back to my channel and comment below by going, thanks Stuart, I really, really enjoyed this. And you were right, the Berlingo, fantastic car. I've bought one. Comment. I know, right? Anyway, we're going to go for a lovely drive in the country with the roof open because I bloody well can. I might put the aircon on as well. Yeah. Anyway, mind you go. Take care. See you soon. Don't necessarily go hand in hand. Excuse me. Canvas and cables and all that stuff, but yeah, I've gone off topic now, I don't want to talk about that. And possibly this is where people would start saying about, oh, for fuck's sake. Large concept was the, oh, for fuck's sake, don't keep saying Mahufitz because that's cunt. Oh God, that's right up my arse. Divulge? No, invulge. Divulge, not divulge. Oh, I can't remember the fucking word for it. Not divulge. Indulge. Indulge. Just divulge. Oh, fucking divulge. No, indulge. Divulge and indulge. I can't get those two fucking sorted in my head. Well, it was concept, wasn't it? Fucking hell. But, oh, fuck off, child. I'm not child friendly. Cunt. Don't keep using big words. I'm using big words, you see. That's what it is. That's why I keep fucking it up. Go press stop recording.